Hey everybody, I just had my first bump off of Facebook in the middle of starting my Power Up Your Life and Practice Tuesday. So I really don't know what that was about, but for some reason, boom, I was only on for a couple seconds and here I am once again. So today what I'm really here for is to help you identify how you can use stress, anxiety, overwhelm as something that can literally boost your life, boost your practice, to use it as a gift, to use it for your greater good, personally, professionally, and for the family and the people you serve. And I know you might be sitting there, if you're, especially right now, if you're feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, and thinking, could she be a little crazy? No. I'm going to talk to you today. Oftentimes when people start coaching with me, that's a very common sense of being, like it's a habit that people are in constant states of stress, overwhelmed, anxious about their life, their practice, their team, everything. And one of the most common things shortly into coaching is that people will tell me, oh my gosh, I feel like I have control over my life, my practice. Even when stress, anxiety, or overwhelm rear their ugly heads, but we're going to switch that perception and look at them as a gift, then they're able to better manage that. So, here's what most people do with stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. They either ignore it, they numb it, or they can embrace it, lean into it, and get curious about what it means and what good you can use it for. So I'm going to ask you, number one, to make this decision today. When you feel stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, that you embrace it. You get curious. You ask a powerful question, which could be something like what does this mean? How can I use this for my greater good? One of my teachers, Pema Chodron, she always says that something will never go away. Something will never go away until it has taught us what we need to learn. Something will never go away until it's taught us what we need to learn. And so that's why I like to say, pay attention. Pay attention. What is the message that your stress, your anxiety is, first of all, you've got to ask, am I feeling stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed because there's something real I need to be stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed? Or is this like a reaction, a habit, a learned behavior, a trigger or anchor? If you know what I'm talking about, just give me a thumbs up, give me some hearts, because a lot of us know, I used to remember every time the phone rang, my dad would say, uh-oh, I wonder what that's going to be. Well, he was a firefighter at one point of his life, and there's tons of kids in the family, and there are people that when you hear a phone ring, you might go into a panic mode. You might think stress, anxious, anxiety. So you've got to ask yourself, when you feel stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, is it real? Is it a learned pattern of behavior that you might be getting a response that doesn't necessarily serve you? Now, here's what I know to be true, is our feelings mean something. And that's why I'm going to ask you to stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, what does this stress, anxiety, or overwhelm mean? And can I embrace it and say, I can learn from this, I can lean in from this. It's telling me something that I need to do differently than I am right now. It will not be the boss of me, but I'm going to use it. And if you know what I'm talking about, give me some hearts and some thumbs up, because we all know that sometimes we need to stop, pay attention, embrace it, lean into it, get curious about it, and use it for our greater good. I believe we have to listen to that wee small voice within. We need to feel what's going on in our heart and in our gut and ask the question, is there really something that is, hey, Cindy Walker, thanks for joining. And Judith, yeah, thumbs up, right? And what if This feeling in my stomach, my heart, my wee small voice within is something that I should be anxious about. I should feel overwhelmed about, and I should feel stressed about. But then the next question is, what's the next step? What do I need to do to decrease that anxiety, that stress, and that feeling of overwhelm? So I'm going to tell you, lean into it. Feel it, because when we numb things, when we ignore things, it will only get worse. And so I'm going to just say, I'll give you a couple of things today that will help you during periods of stress, overwhelm, feelings of anxiety. And the first thing is, you need to make sure you're attending and you're caring for yourself. That is something, especially most of the women who are listening here right now, we tend to take care of our practice members, our families, everything else. But you need to attend and care for yourself first. And as my cup of tea says, maybe sometimes you just need to dance, right? It could just be in the middle of that stress and overwhelm and anxiety. What can you do that's going to make you feel centered, focus? Maybe it's just 10 deep breaths, right? But attending to yourself, knowing your operating system, knowing the anchors and the triggers that you have that cause anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. Stop, pause, and attend to yourself. Sometimes we just have to learn to love what is, right? Loving what is. Sometimes we have family members who are ill, and we want to help them, or we want it to be different, but it's a process, it's a journey. Maybe there's something going on in our practices, and it's going to take some time for it to evolve to the next level. And whenever we're worried about the past or looking forward to the future, that can cause anxiety, stress, and overwhelm, because we're not in present time consciousness, loving what is. And there's a great book, I've mentioned it on many Facebook Lives and my coaching. I would highly recommend you look at Byron Katie, Loving What Is. Let's also look at what are our boundaries, or our standards. Often when we violated personal boundaries, practice boundaries, relationship boundaries, or standards, when we maybe are holding too high of a standard, or not keeping to the standards we believe in or we set, that can cause anxiety, overwhelm, and stress. And so we use these feelings for our greater good, because it can make us pay attention and say, I am off on my standards. I am off on my boundaries. I have let people walk on me, or I've walked on other people. I'm the one who's causing the problem sometimes, right? I'm the one causing the stress, the anxiety, and the overwhelm. So look at your boundaries. Are they violated? Are they weak? Are they inappropriate? Maybe they're too much. Or your standards, maybe they're not high enough, maybe they're too low, or maybe they're not clear. Because stress and anxiety and overwhelm can come from a lack of clarity. So again, all of this is about leaning into it, listening to it, getting curious. What does it mean? And how can I not let it be the boss of me? So the next thing I'd like to do is also, stress, anxiety, and overwhelm can come, especially in a practice or in a family, in a relationship, when there are differences. And I really believe that we need to honor the differences, whether it's with your partner, your teammate, a practice member, a best friend, is that we honor ourselves and our differences, and we honor themselves and their differences. That's how we become compassionate. That's how we can be more loving, is that we're not all the same, and we'd be bored if we were all the same, right? And so honor differences. And the next thing that I want you to think about is, this is a big one, stop multitasking. Stress, anxiety, and overwhelm come from the fact that we think we can do it all and we could do 20 things at one time, right? Now, I believe we could walk and maybe listen to something that's empowering and elevating or calming. We can, but we cannot be with our people and be on our phone at the same time. We cannot be with our practice member, putting our hands on to give that adjustment with that special something while we're paying attention to everything else around us. So stop multitasking. I promise you, it will allow you to be more present time conscious, more focused, and decrease your stress, your anxiety, and your overwhelm. So when you feel stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, maybe it's just a signal that you're trying to spin too many plates at one time. And I believe we can spin a lot of plates, but maybe not all at the same time. And women especially, listen to me and give me a thumbs up or a aha if this is true for you. Sometimes we forget to allocate, delegate, automate, or eliminate things in our life. And so remember that you do not have to do it all, but you want to delegate, allocate, eliminate, automate anything that you can. So in terms of putting yourself first, because a lot of times stress, anxiety, and overwhelm come from the fact that we're burned out, we're exhausted, we're being pulled by our kids, pulled by the practice, pulled by our partners, pulled by our philanthropic, endeavors and our commitment to chiropractic boards and etc. Put yourself first. When was the last time you got checked and got an adjustment if it was necessary? When was the last time you sat and just breathed, or had a gorgeous meal, or a spa day, or a pedicure, or a manicure, whatever nurtures you? So put yourself first, take care of you so you can take care of other people. I was like, as Cindy said, you are so right. I went yesterday with my two nieces and my sister who are here. Actually, they just got on the plane about an hour ago. We all went for pedicures. While I was working some days, they were spaing. We were down by the ocean, and we all just kind of connected and rejuvenated individually while the collective of love of family was also occurring. Here's a big thing to help you with your overwhelm and your anxiety and stress is oftentimes it's a warning sign that you lack systems, especially in practices. If the practice feels out of control, it's stuck in a rut, it's not growing, or it's downward trending, you probably need to pay attention to your systems and or your support. Same thing at home. Man, I run a systemized practice, a systemized house, and I make sure I get the support I need. Otherwise, I will be stressed out, overwhelmed, and anxious. And that's not pretty. It's not right. And I'm going to just say this. Everybody who's listening to this, you know that we've all had that. We've all been overwhelmed, stressed, and anxious. And I think sometimes just having that feeling makes us more connected to other people, knowing that we're not alone. But there are people who learn how to manage it, control it better, not let it be the boss. So I want you to understand, sometimes in these periods of, oh my gosh, all of this is happening to me, that it's part of your process. It's part of your life university. It's part of your journey. It is building your character, your strength, your awareness, and learning what works for you and what doesn't. So, I'm giving you about 15 different things today to look at, pay attention, implement, utilize, but not all of them are right for you. Or maybe not right for you today, but next week when this anxiety comes up, you're like, I better be careful what I name it or if I claim it. Have you ever heard people say, oh, my arthritis, my vertigo, my anxiety, I am this, I am overwhelmed? When people say that, they're naming it and they're claiming it, instead of getting curious and say, here's a good example. Athletes, high class Olympic athletes, if a reporter, and they do this every time the Olympics or some big event is on, they'll be like, are you nervous? Are you nervous? And most athletes will say, no, but I'm excited, right? So anxiety can have that same, oh my gosh, my heart rate's up a little bit. I'm a little sweaty. I'm kind of like, let's go, let's go. Do I name it and claim it as excitement or anxiety? When I'm like, I got, 100, new things going on in my life, my practice is growing, I'm training new people, do I say it's overwhelm? Or do I say, this is what I've been working for all my life to get to this level? Now I'll just figure out the systems and the support. I'll learn how to not let this control me, but how to use it. So your self-talk is absolutely imperative. Have you ever said some things inside your head that if somebody else told you that, you would knock them, right? Your self-talk, your mind is always eavesdropping on what you're saying. And the reality is, whatever you say inside your head, whatever you believe to be true about you is what you are and what you create in your life. So be careful what you name, be careful what you claim, be careful what you say. And remember, this is a journey. You're learning every day. You're green and growing. I find journaling very, very powerful, especially during periods when I feel stress or anxiety or overwhelmed. It helps me get clarity on what it means. It helps me get curious, and it helps me use it for my greater good, my family's greater good, and the people I serve's greater good. And finally, I want you to remember, live, love, laugh, right? Love whatever's going on. Find love, find a way to love yourself, love others, laugh, whether it's a silly YouTube video. The other day I sent one of my daughters, she loves silly animal videos. And, it had these cats in a stroller, and it was like, they were in the stroller and then they just disappeared. And it was like a little caption, what the people in the office do when your boss is asking for you to work extra hours. And it was just funny. It was 2 seconds of cute, right? So find ways to really share your love and your passion, which we get to do as chiropractors all the time, but beyond that. Find ways to laugh frequently. Even if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed and you just smile, or you dance. This is from one of my other daughters. I love this mug. Anyway, and the last thing is practice random acts of kindness. So when we're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or anxious, oftentimes helping somebody else through their life, again, as chiropractors, we get to do that all day long, but sometimes something somewhere a little extra is really beneficial to do as well. So the biggest thing is that I spoke about today is just chunk it down, ask what it means, ask what it's telling you to do, ask what the gift is in it, or as my mom used to always say, the silver lining. What's my next step? How can I manage this, understand it, not let it be the boss of me? And remember, you're never alone. So I'm Dr. Shawn Powers. I coach and mentor chiropractors to have prosperous family practices. I love to help anybody who wants to be a better version of themselves. And I'll be here next Tuesday. In the meantime, reach out if you want some help. I'm here to help you. And if you're watching this later, give me thumbs up, ask questions, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Peace out.